we bought this mansion in Hamilton, it had a fair bit of potential. I say potential because inside it was a dump.
There's a hole in the floor.
For the last 8 days, the nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman have been trying to create a bed and breakfast on the ground floor of this messed up home.
I just made a bigger mess.
But it's not working. The place is a bigger dump than when they started.
They're gonna wreck the floor underneath. You can feel it go in.
I just hope they don't turn the whole place into rubble.
So far in this solid old house, the nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman have done 10 personal challenges.
Oh my God. I screwed it to the floor.
And their bed and breakfast rooms are starting to take shape. But the 5 builders still have an awful lot to learn.
Where does it say, do not chop off pipes?
That's Desmond from Woodstock, Ontario. He was nominated as Canada's Worst Handyman by his wife, Jenny.
I turned it off.
So is that just...
I don't know.
Wow. Wow.
There was like,
Wow. Fun begins.
Tex, the next candidate, hails from Apple River, Nova Scotia.
I have electrocuted myself a few times.
Don't do that, Tex. We don't have dental.
Tex's wife, Tara, wants him to slow down.
Tex's handyman motto is definitely get her done.
Get her done.
The next candidate is this season's only female, Charmaine.
I love working with rope. Rope smells really nice. It's got great color, and you can basically shape it to anything you want to.
Charmaine's daughter, Tina, wants her mother to put a fork in it.
We have often found many butter knives in our sink covered in random things, paint chips, glue.
Okay, I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
That brings us to Casey, a police officer from Abbotsford.
I installed this fence 6 months ago because we didn't want our baby to fall in the hole, and I think it looks great. Take gentle.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's sturdy.
Well, you can lift it with one finger and move it.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Casey was brought to rehab by his wife, Marnie.
Flip the table on the side.
Put the table on the side?
Flip the table on its side.
Why are you talking to me like that? Flip the table on its side.
Since getting here, Marnie has done most of Casey's work for him.
Marnie was the brains behind this project.
Speaking of brains,
Help me put it up so it doesn't break, I
Oh
say.
my God, you expect me to be?
the final candidate for Canada's Worst Handyman is trying to develop some.
I don't just want to be the muscle anymore. I want to be the brains behind the operations, too.
Joe the Bullet Barbero loves demolition, but when it comes to handiwork, he feels he's too manly.
I always leave that kind of work up to the woman. It's the woman's job as far as I'm concerned.
Joe's sister Rita turned him in.
Joe doesn't do those simple things because he thinks
So a
it's
woman's role.
the wife's, responsibility to get that stuff done, which is totally wrong.
A woman's work.
I am frustrated all the time. There is a lot of things that need to be done, and I just can't do everything on my own, so his help is definitely needed.
When it comes to admitting their inadequacies as builders, Canada's Worst Handymen are completely out of the closet. For their next challenge, they're going to be completely building a closet.
I've never done that.
Back on day one, the candidates each built a stud wall. Today, Casey keeps on looking at his stud wall, trying to decide whether or not it would be wise to use in his closet construction. Tex is using his stud wall.
Measure that wall that we already got built.
And Desmond doesn't see his coming.
How high are we gonna have this?
Oh, Jesus.
Safety first.
Hopefully, today's closet challenge will beat some sense into Joe's hard head.
Do you want to just hold that up for a sec? This thing stopped beating me in the head.
What do you want me to do?
No, hold this up so I can put it up, man.
There's another Joe on site. Joe Alcorn, our head designer.
There is a major design flaw with this one.
Joe's right-hand man at the rehab center is our head builder, Jeff Woodmansey.
There might be a way to save this.
Together, they teach classes.
You score the top surface of the drywall.
They help me decide who the worst is.
He's not thinking, he's just throwing materials together and wasting everyone's time.
And they demonstrate the way things should be done by tackling every challenge the bad handymen do.
Oh my God, Jeff, you're good.
Today, Charmaine's daughter is ill.
You just get better. Don't worry about me.
So, Joe will be filling in for her.
You want me to help?
Would you love to help me?
Yes.
Charmaine's daughter's illness has become a lucky advantage. Joe teaches Charmaine how to build a closet, starting with the frame.
Beautiful, Charmaine.
When it's secured to the floor and walls, they build a top.
Okay, so now this is where we're going to use your smaller nails?
Yes.
The top is screwed to the frame to prevent the walls from buckling in. Once the side covering is in place, it's just a matter of installing a curtain rod, and this task is done.
Okay.
Charmaine's entire closet was built without nails.
You did it.
No, we did it.
The strength of modern power drills
Are you kidding me?
has made nailing passé.
There's no way that's going to go in.
Even so, Casey should learn some basic nailing techniques.
You don't have to go in there and do this foolishness. No, just angle it in.
This is called toe nailing.
You don't need 400 shots. Angle.
Instead of trying to toe nail, Casey tries drilling pointless pilot holes.
I'm in a world of hurt here, babe. Let's just keep moving. I'll grab that later.
What is this screw?
Yeah, that didn't work. 2 little screws have screwed me for about half an hour.
Oh, I know. Desmond's obsession with brackets is a building problem.
Bracket. Bracket?
Yep.
All right.
Brackets are too flimsy to be the structural support of a closet.
Thanks for knocking out that whole stud.
Are you kidding?
No, your ass just knocked that out.
To cover the exterior of their closets, most of the handymen have chosen old-style wall paneling.
Paneling.
Tex thinks this product is
Dandy.
to make a dandy cut.
You.
Tex needs to clamp the paneling down.
Let's try this.
The same flopping mistake is made by Joe.
Okay,
No, that-
what are you doing?
That ain't gonna work, man. I didn't like the way that saw cut.
If you don't have this clamped, the blade is going to lift before it cuts.
Joe's next cutting-edge idea
Look at that steady hand. I should be a doctor, eh?
actually works.
Look at that. Genius.
For his closet covering, Casey is using MDF board. That's medium density fiberboard, which is a fancy way of saying a compressed sheet made up of dust and glue. Casey is cutting his MDF, and he's also cutting the floor, which is something we're used to. Since meeting Casey, we've seen him obliviously saw into a cooler.
Oh!
What?
You just went through the hinge.
We've watched him slice through buckets.
We call the leaky bucket crew here soon.
And now he's gouging out our floor.
Oh, great. I'll hear about that.
when we return. The closets get finished,
Oh my God.
and our lighting challenge begins.
Maybe if you get any smarter, you can do it yourself.
The nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman are constructing the frames for the closets they're building in their bed and breakfast rooms.
This is dumb.
Casey is relying on his wife.
Can you do me a favor and get tools ready then?
Tex is working on the door.
That's perfect.
Well, it's backwards, though.
And Desmond is locked in a death match with a 1-inch tack.
Oh, come on, come on.
Des has some strength issues hammering away at his effort. Some serious strength issues. The jury's still out, but either Desmond's closet isn't strong enough to take a beating, or he's not strong enough to give one. 49 strokes of the hammer.
Can you start nailing the other side up quick?
Des has mishammered and mismeasured.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Well, you want 21, so let's re-measure.
Desmond's closet is such an embarrassing bust.
Des is going down this episode.
He feels like he's going to get stuck
Oh my God.
with our embarrassing title.
Failed. I'm like Canada's Worst Handyman, episode 5.
That might not be true. Joe is still looking pretty bad himself. Joe's coat hanging rod is too wide.
That's weird, man. You don't even need this, man.
Joe the Bullet's favorite tool in rehab is the hacksaw. He uses it so much.
It's dull. It's dull.
It's not the only dull thing in Joe's room.
This is too dull, eh?
Joe's closet should be hung out to dry.
Went pretty bad. Room's a disaster.
Joe's not the only one who didn't measure.
Oh, no.
Casey's closet is also too small.
Oh my God.
So, Marnie gets a piece of wooden doweling,
Then we just need to cut this the right length.
Okay.
a few plumbing supplies,
I'll set the brackets up.
and she once again saves the day.
Do you want me to do it, or do you want to?
Yeah, you can do it.
Casey's closet is really his wife's.
My closet, not so good. Kind of leans one way.
Tex is a moody guy.
Patience for the same one.
Every challenge, he seems to get seriously bent out of shape.
Stupid drill.
And he does curse about every mistake.
Just a goat.
Go.
But in the end,
Dandy.
Tex always feels dandy.
Dandy. Dandy. Dandy. Here, buddy. Just give us a few minutes.
Tex's dandy closet can hold a lot of well-worn clothes.
Ta-da! Oh, yeah, I'm still a rough carpenter. Like, that closet is the best of my ability so far.
Before doing this show, I had no idea what a wall sconce was. Turns out it's a fancy name for a light that sticks out of the wall. Installing one requires the skills of a designer, a carpenter, and an electrician. So, is installing one yourself worth it? Well, depends on what kind you buy.
The ones we bought the candidates for Canada's Worst Handyman use a halogen bulb and half the voltage of a normal wall sconce.
What the heck is this, man? Trick.
What's most amazing about this light is the wire. It's paper thin, and it's not dangerous to touch even when it's conducting electricity.
It's very pretty.
According to the instructions, wiring this light is a 4-part process. First, you should map it by drawing a line on the wall from the power source to the wall sconce. Then get the wire and click it by making the electrical connections. Stick it to the wall using spray-on adhesive and make it disappear underneath a skin coat of plaster. One light kit costs $50, and it takes our experts less than an hour to install 2 of them.
Actually, the more I dive into this, the more nervous I'm getting.
Is anyone gonna watch the DVD?
These complete kits come with an instructional DVD.
I'm gonna load this sucker up.
I'll read.
We might watch it.
Let's all sit and watch the DVD.
But the 5-minute lesson overwhelms Casey.
For 2 little lights? All that work?
Map it. Stick it.
Click it, make it disappear. Map it.
If you don't like watching videos,
Okay, instructions, let me see them.
there are also written instructions.
Now what?
I don't know, read the instruction.
Shut up. All right, so what do we do now? When we're running this, do we have to put it, hook this onto a wire already that's in the wall?
So I'm assuming you haven't looked at the instructions at all?
No.
Joe tries to watch.
Nice. This is what I need.
But he leaves after 30 seconds.
Do you remember what he said, Rita?
When we come back, Joe doesn't seem to be wired correctly.
Boy, they put them on there strong, hey?
Yeah.
Almost like they're not meant to be cut off.
All right, that's pretty cool. We improvised.
The nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman are installing energy-efficient wall sconces in their developing bed and breakfast rooms.
This is a project that, the weekend warriors can tackle. It's pretty straightforward.
Joe the Bullet is getting bent out of shape.
Now I do it this way?
Yep.
Just the up.
You didn't even watch the video.
Casey hasn't read the instructions.
Can we fold it?
Fold this?
Yes.
I don't think so.
How would
The instructions really didn't show.
It's folded there, so.
Oh, is it?
And Charmaine is getting completely frazzled.
Listen to me! Jesus!
What do you mean, did you cut it?
Look at.
Yeah?
So what? Does this bend? Does it fold?
As soon as Charmaine clicks it,
I can't do anything till you get the thing up there.
she's ready to stick it
You know what? Don't talk to me.
to her daughter.
You got the adhesive?
I'm gonna adhesive your ass pretty soon.
Charmaine might be serious. She's got toilet paper.
Oh, that ain't working, is it?
No.
Damn it, Janet.
Tex started this challenge by seeing which outlets in his room work. The one nearest to where he wants his light is dead.
Uh-oh, you got issues.
But Tex is running his light to it anyway.
I'm drilling my holes.
This is what you call a make-work project.
I'm putting it here, whether the plug-in works or not. Get the spray glue or whatever it is. Oh, great.
What? On the mirror?
Tex's badly angled wire will run over his wainscoting.
Oh, man, there's no way we can cover that.
No.
I know, maybe we could use that plug-in over there and go right over the drywall instead of the wainscoting.
Sakes. Maybe if you get any smarter, you could do it yourself. This is not going to work for me at all. Keep going, pull it. Pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it.
Why can't you put it there? Run it straight down to that plug.
I wanted it there. Now I can't have it there.
Tex calls me down to ask for a free pass on this challenge.
It's not my fault that that don't work.
But you put a tester in there and knew it didn't work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, never mind, man.
Some Handyman products
Now what's the problem?
should come with warning labels to let smokers know what the stress level is.
So will smoking make you a better handyman?
We're hoping.
less snappy with the wife anyway.
Casey needs to be less reliant on his wife.
Okay, are you putting that up on that?
I'm working on it. Don't you worry about me.
Casey should worry because Marnie's installing the fixture upside down.
My technique is something else.
If Casey would read the instructions, he'd see that his glass globe is supposed to perch on the upright fixture like this.
Well, we don't like the covering.
Marnie screws in the delicate bulb, but if Casey lets go of the heavy shade, the bulb will have to hold all of its weight.
Well, it's just flickering now.
I know.
When Casey lets go, any last flicker of hope goes out.
The glass around it is...
You broke it?
Casey has to pick up the pieces of this project.
Uh-oh.
We need that?
Yeah, if you want it to plug in.
Joe wired his plug upside down. Now it won't fit.
Can we hack this off, this third prong?
Hacking off the third prong means the light won't be grounded. That means any power surges could electrify the fixture itself.
Boy, they put them on there strong, hey?
Yeah.
Almost like they're not meant to be cut off.
All right, that's pretty cool. We improvised.
We sure did.
So that's in now.
Okay.
But I can't get them both in, you know what I mean, Rita?
Joe means trouble.
Make the plaster.
Desmond's plaster job
Mix this.
will happen after the test.
You ready?
Ready?
Yes! Yes! We have voltage!
Des has light, but he needs a drywaller.
Keep going, honey. You're doing great. As your bumps run down the wall. That was a fun project. I enjoyed that.
Charmaine can't screw in a light bulb.
I'm sure.
I know how to do it. And then this? Yep. Is your power on?
I don't know.
Yeah!
Well, holy crap.
Charmaine's work is the best in rehab.
I'm improving. I'm more improving on a mental level.
Tex's second attempt at wiring isn't quite long enough.
Oh, man. All right.
All right, give me another strip.
He did so well on his closet. I would have thought this light would have been quite easy for him to do.
It's a mechanical skill, though, not a carpentry skill.
Tex's newest wire is too long.
What? What were you saying?
It has to come down and up.
All right, I'll take it off for the third time.
Tex does what he has to do and gets the job done.
She don't look pretty, but she works.
Ding! Tex isn't energy efficient.
I'm here to learn. I'm doing the best I can. And that's just the way it goes.
It's not going in.
Joe is not familiar with putting in light bulbs.
And I'm gonna end up breaking this thing, Rita.
When we met this proud papa in his home, we learned that Joe never changes light bulbs.
It's the woman's job, as far as I'm concerned.
We convinced him to try it, but he wasn't convinced.
I still think changing the light bulb's a woman's job, so you probably won't see me do it again.
Today, Joe gets a woman to put the tiny halogen bulb in. The secret to installing these bulbs
I love it.
is having dainty digits.
And
Something in this room isn't very bright.
No light.
Maybe Joe's brain is fried.
I've been electrocuted twice.
His first zap was at a fridge.
And then my shoulder was purple when I was on the ground, whatever.
Another time?
What? It was the same fridge. It tricked me twice.
When we come back, the nominees use the most complicated power tool we know of.
I quit.
A good
handyman is well versed in the operation of many different power tools. The next challenge for the folks in rehab is to overcome their fear of a very dangerous jabbing machine, one that's potentially, well, emasculating. For Canada's worst handyman, it's curtains.
Sewing.
This calls for a no-nonsense class from our head builder, Jeff.
Today, we're going to introduce you to a new tool, and it is a sewing machine.
Jeff demonstrates all the moving parts.
This is for manually moving your needle up and down right here.
And he explains all of the machine's components.
On the back, you'll see there's a lever, and this operates the foot of the machine. The foot is what traps the material. What we're going to do is create a hem. The foot goes up to load the material. You lock the foot into position, and then you just gently run the material through the machine, keeping it nice and straight. Finish it off. Free the material up. Simply cut your thread. Any questions that I can answer? So we're sewing down there?
Joe should now know how to turn a ratty edge like this into a perfectly hemmed edge, as Jeff has done.
Why, thank you.
To get the correct amount of fabric for the curtains,
4.5 feet wide, 6.5 feet long.
The bad handymen have each calculated dimensions.
30 feet across and 18 feet down.
What are you, opening up a theater?
And they've picked colors.
Chocolate brown.
Chocolate brown.
Thinking about how to cut his fabric, Casey stares into space so long that Tex believes there must be something to see up there. Desmond is going to use two kinds of fabric.
What the hell?
Starting with this sheer material.
This is pissing me off. How the hell am I gonna cut all this?
Joe is making red curtains and black curtains and absolutely no sense.
If my curtains are 5 feet wide, right?
Yeah.
And so many feet down. But I mean, what has to be sewn? Just the black ones or the red ones?
Casey is making a mess.
Don't unroll all the fabric you need.
In one ear, out the other. Casey unrolls all the fabric he needs.
Well, I just wanted it tight so I got it right.
Casey's not getting it.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
But you don't have to. You don't have to drag it through the floor.
I'm gonna give this one shot and one shot only. If I can't sew it, staple gun.
Casey's inept measuring is resulting in a 7-inch hem.
It's a freaking huge hem.
I'm gonna give it one shot. If it don't go, stapler. And I'll just paint the staples.
In the sewing room,
You need help, don't you?
I'm clueless, man.
Need help.
Charmaine is trying to help the men.
You watching? Okay, so.
But she soon realizes
Okay, who needs help?
she's being manipulated.
I'm not doing yours for you, but I'll help you. Okay, first of all, is your foot down? And I'm gonna sew my curtain while you do that. Now I forgot my measurements. Oh, these guys. Oh, these guys. I love them dearly, but holy Hannah, it's like babysitting sometimes.
Desmond needs to put his foot down
Oh, this is ridiculous.
and stop causing these nasty snarls.
Why is my stuck?
It's stuck because Des hasn't lowered his machine's foot.
This son of a. Yeah, mine's a terrible mess, and it's.
What's wrong?
And it's sinking down into the
What are you doing?
machine. Look, stupid.
If sewers don't put their foot down,
I quit.
their projects will come apart at the seams.
Okay, first of all, your foot isn't down.
Oh.
In the tropical paradise room, Jenny is hanging wallpaper. But when we see her cutting around a live outlet, our electrician quickly turns down the power supply to barely a trickle.
Oh, geez. That's probably not the best idea.
A worse idea would be doing the exact same thing again.
Jesus, I just got zapped again.
That tricked you 2 times.
Yes.
Just like Joe's fridge.
Just like Joe's fridge.
Rita's paint job is almost as shocking.
freedom.
That's funny. Does he know?
No.
I'm going upstairs because Joe will know right about now.
Freedom? Said I'm gonna smash you to pieces.
How is that not funny?
Freedom. Freedom. The freedom room. The freedom room.
The candidates for Canada's Worst Handyman don't know it yet, but when their bed and breakfast rooms are fully complete, the first guests to stay in those rooms will be themselves.
Tex and Charmaine are both zipping through this challenge, but Casey is wasting time as usual.
This is a 3-day job for me.
He's sewing without thread.
Whoa, 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 whoa. There's nothing coming out. Well, that sucks. Stapler it is.
Instead of stapling his hem,
Place item to be done.
It's not very hot.
Casey uses an iron-on strip his wife found in our supply area.
So the heat makes it stick together, so you get a nice clean edge.
Oh, yeah. Huh? Huh?
The only reason Casey finishes
Magical.
is because of Marnie.
Hey, nice touch, hon.
Is this worth it?
No, curtains aren't worth it. I would never do this again. Too much work.
Without Marnie, Casey wouldn't work.
All right, babe, we're done.
Charmaine is also done.
There's my little closet.
This liberating success has put Charmaine ahead of the men.
That was fun. It was nice to watch them struggle in women's work, you know?
Is that 5 feet?
Joe wants to kill his sewing machine.
Now, how do you open this? Just with a plain old headbutt, or trying to teach me that in one day? It's like teaching a baby.
So Rita pins her baby brother's curtains in place.
Quick, make it look like I did it.
Tex
Okay, dandy.
has badly mismeasured. His curtains are short by a foot.
I'm wondering who did the measuring.
Another project finished to my satisfaction.
Tex needs higher curtains and higher standards.
I don't care. Oh, I do care, but man, like, what are you gonna do?
Jenny wishes her husband cared a little less.
How am I gonna do that? How am I gonna do that?
I don't know.
Ow, mother. Sucker, son of a.
Desmond?
You! Sucker, son of a.
Desmond's fuse is too short.
Ow.
And his shears are too long.
Jen, I don't care anymore. Oh, you could hung this to the floor.
Nice attitude.
Could hung this to the floor.
Well, you could do nice.
Am I a curtain layer? Looks like.
Desmond will never make curtains again.
Definitely not worth it. You buy them, you hang them, you leave them. I will not be surprised that at the end of this episode, I am voted Canada's worst for that episode.
That dishonor could also go to Joe.
It's a hell of a room.
Look at the dirt all over those curtains. Look at that.
Joe thinks curtains are beyond his gender.
Is this women's work?
Yes, definitely. Sewing is woman's work, man. Straight up. It's a woman's job to sew.
When we come back, it's the group challenge.
Ow! Hey, easy!
Every episode, Canada's worst handymen have been pooling their talents together. When they got the old dingy bathroom demolished, they dreamed up a brand new kitchen, which includes a countertop made of floor tiles.
If we're gonna use tile, we can put it on the countertops where people don't have to walk on it.
So, by their own design, their next group challenge is to create a customized countertop using plywood and tiles. I'm really looking forward to watching them cut around the sink.
Making the precise cut for the stovetop is proving problematic for techs.
There you go.
It's going to get more problematic because no one has realized
there is no source of power to make that stove hot.
According to building code, these powerful 220-volt wires must run directly to the breaker panel.
So just think about it. Realize what has to be done. Just realize everything that has to be done and do it.
220 wiring is dangerous enough to always require an electrician.
Ow! Hey, easy. Sorry. Just plug you in the head, brother.
Before the foreman of this challenge gets in over his head, I want Casey to thoroughly understand how the tile mortar works.
Do me a favor, sir.
Yeah.
Read up.
All right. Specifically, I want him to know how fast it sets.
Have you read up on it, Casey?
I read the instructions in terms of the mixture.
Is that it?
Well, there's more, but I mean, I'm wasting time by going through it.
He's wasting time by reading the instructions. Please read the instructions, because there's a timing issue with this product.
Casey doesn't care.
Please tell me you read the instructions, right? I'm begging you again.
You didn't beg hard enough.
Please read the instructions. Take 5 minutes. Go somewhere, read them, and actually comprehend them. The biggest problem with bad handymen is that they refuse to read and understand
Use
directions.
immediately, no waiting time required.
Pause right there. That's the part I want Casey to understand.
And
Use
directions.
immediately, no waiting time required.
But in the other room, Charmaine is already mixing.
When they're ready, I'll be ready.
We're ready to start tiling, Char.
Guys ready?
Yeah.
Casey's nowhere near ready. The plywood surface is not attached, and the hole for the sink is being marked out incorrectly. Desmond should have kept the sink's package, because then he'd have the
cutout template for the sink. Oops.
The packaging for any new sink always contains a traceable template that's the exact size of the hole you should cut. Before smearing down mortar, Casey should cut out every tile and lay them in place to make sure they fit.
There you go. Perfect, dude.
But Casey has tiles in the quick-drying adhesive.
Oh, that's quick.
Before he's even got it spread out.
Just on the edge here. Give me some edge there. Perfect.
After just 2 tiles, it's obvious how bad this plan is. For starters, countertops should extend 1 inch past cupboard doors so that any runoff hits the floor. To cover this exposed plywood, the tile on top should extend past the edge so this can be mortared and tiled.
How long for those cuts, you guys?
To custom cut the tile, our expert Jeff is showing Casey's wife how to use a wet saw.
Oh, this is nice.
Incidentally, you can rent one of these things for about $60 a day. For consistent spacing between tiles, you can buy these plastic plus signs in a variety of sizes.
No. Oh, go this way.
Ah,
This way.
A little tight.
Get it right.
I thought they were a little tight.
On the mortar box, it also says this product corrodes human flesh.
You know that you're not supposed to get that on your skin?
No.
You're not supposed to get that on your skin.
I will get rid of it.
Joe shows his greatest amount of focus making a paper airplane. He's not involved in the tiling project because he thinks it's women's work.
Women are better with finicky stuff.
Finicky things aren't for either for women or men.
They are, believe me.
Give us the list. Women's work.
Hanging pictures,
Oh, Joe.
Changing diapers.
For God's sakes.
Putting in a floor, putting in a ceiling,
No,
doing
that's
the
not
roof,
women's work,
laying
man.
carpet, fixing the roof.
That's women work, man. That's women, man. Women need to do stuff like that. It keeps them normal.
A normal foreman would have realized by now that this adhesive is practically useless.
Okay, how long for these cuts?
55 minutes after the quick-setting mortar was made, Charmaine has to play with it to keep it from setting.
In hindsight, we should have just laid out all the tiles in the first place, but I didn't do that.
All Casey had to do was read the instructions.
I stopped looking at the instructions. I didn't really see any point of wasting time reading them at that point, quite honestly.
Would you do this in your own home?
No.
Thank goodness for that. When we come back, we pick this episode's worst.
You can tell in his room, it's a disaster. And the more he adds to it, the worse it gets.
Before we name the worst handyman for this episode, it's time for the experts to make their final rounds, starting with Joe's room.
Curtains are bad. They're not cut evenly. There's not a real curtain rod rack on it, whatever.
No, I don't even know how to even say one word about this, Joe.
And the light works or not?
No, it doesn't work. I put everything upside down.
As for Joe's closet...
And look, Joe, I don't want to do this to you.
Yeah, I know. It was garbage.
Down the hall, Dez's wallpaper is a little kitschy.
It's clearly brought, the theme of your room to life.
Yes.
How did this go? Closet, curtains, lighting.
Disappointing failure, great.
In Charmaine's room, the light also works.
Bingo.
That was pretty amazing. They're super easy to put up.
And her curtain and closet go together well.
I had some really good help.
Tex had no help making this massive addition.
Well, you definitely have the roomiest closet of all, that's for sure.
But there's too much room above his curtains.
I don't understand why you didn't bring them all the way up to the top. That would have helped a lot.
In Casey's room, the curtain edges are getting frayed by the blinds he should have taken down.
He has no hem on his curtain at all.
No.
So this is just...
You just cut it and put it up.
Casey's closet is leaning badly.
Have a look in the bubble here.
And his upside-down light doesn't work.
Well, it's been hit and miss. And we're missing right now.
For once, the experts agree on the worst.
It's Joe. Again.
Joe.
Again. For me, the worst? Casey. Hands down.
His wife did his curtains for him.
His wife is doing his lighting for him. His wife is organizing, designing, and building his closet for him.
I can see your point, but we're talking the worst.
Joe is going backwards.
Well, look at the group challenge. What did Joe do?
Joe did basically nothing, which is what Casey also did.
And that's why I'm saying he's the worst.
No, Joe.
You can tell in his room, it's a disaster. And the more he adds to it, the worse it gets.
Yeah,
You should have just
exactly,
left it empty and it would have been better.
It's got to be Joe.
Doesn't have to be.
There's something serious the bad builders need to know about this bed and breakfast.
In 5 more nights, the first guests of this B&B are going to be coming to sleep over.
Are they blind?
So we're going to kick this build into high gear, okay?
Nice.
But first, it's time to name this episode's most improved handyman.
That honor is going to go to Charmaine.
Yes.
Which brings us to the worst. And we know how this one goes. I look at you two guys. Every show, Joe, Casey. Casey, Joe. Who's it gonna be? Joe, it's you, buddy. You gotta pick up the game.
That'll change.
It's gonna change, isn't it? Make a change, sir.
It will.
I don't want to ever see your picture again.
It's time for this man's remedial lesson.
Let's go.
Waiting in Joe's room are his dirty drapes and hot soapy water.
Clean your curtains, man.
Well, I classify this as women's work.
Hey, Joe.
While he's at it, Tara wouldn't mind if Joe did her laundry too.
I do mind, but I'm doing it, so I gotta do it. Come in.
Joe?
Yeah.
I hear you're doing work.
Yeah, and I gotta do what I gotta do.
Hey, bro.
What do you got, a pair of underwear?
Oh, Joe, buddy.
Oh, woman's work, man, it's tough.
Get some respect. Seriously.
That's my mentality.
On the next episode of Canada's Worst Handyman, the nominees make tables. They create customized headboards.
I fought with that damn thing for half an hour.
And in the group challenge,
I'm going to bring in the girls on this one.
Charmaine fires the men.
Excuse me, Miss Foreman. What's the scoop?
I kicked you guys out.
What?